No, she was here, but now she's gone. I'm gonna give her a call.
She was
Oh,
here.
now she's
Now
back.
she's gone. Now she's back. Hey.
Alright, so let's get that cart ball, get that situated.
I hope she's back. Exactly, we can hear it.
Okay, here we go.
Can we do?
So we do.
Good evening and welcome to the Poetry of Justice show with Jackie Ray Phillips on yaxradio.com and acceleratedradio.net. Here on the Poetry of Justice show, this is where social consciousness meets the arts. And what we do is we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity, ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large, leaving our listeners thinking and saying, ah, my goodness gracious, yikes! Those are the sultry sounds of my mentor, ladies and gentlemen, the Mr. Kevin Nash. And Mr. Nash is the owner of this proprietorship here at Accelerated Radio. So I always give Mr. Nash a shout out because were it not for his dreams and ambitions, it would be impossible for me to do what I so love to do here on yaxradio.com. Ladies and gentlemen, and then I want to give a very special shout out to my adoring sister, and she is the benefactor of the show, Miss Lori G. She's in the house tonight of Gingy Productions and Entertainment Company. How are you tonight, Lori G? It's gonna be all right because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we have more sponsorships of the show. We want to give a shout out to G Babies Catering, ladies and gentlemen. G Babies Catering LLC. I want you to check him out, Chef Mac. The best way right now to get in touch with Chef Mac is to look at him up on Instagram. And again, that's GBABBIES LLC Catering, ladies and gentlemen. And then, as we move on down the line, ladies and gentlemen, what's up, Floss the Boss? I want to give a very special shout out to the man of steel, known as WMPJ Steelworks, Mr. William Miles Phillips Jr., ladies and gentlemen. We want to just give him a shout out because we just love what he does and help us out here on the Poetry of Justice show. And one of his most recent ventures that he's working on right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is APS Muscle Cars, ladies and gentlemen. We got vehicle restoration. We got customizations. You want to check this guy out, you can check him out on Instagram, APS Muscle Cars. You can also check him out on Google this dude, jeez. I'm telling you, APS Muscle Cars, Memo, M-E-M-O. This is the dude you want to talk to, ladies and gentlemen. And so, here we are, another Saturday night. I think we have ascended now, right, Rashid? We're getting ready to float on into the show here, ladies and gentlemen, of the Poetry of Justice show. Lori G, how are you tonight, pretty lady?
I'm doing well, and how are you, Sissy?
I'm doing good, you see? It's so good to see your face. I know, right? I think we just very special shout out, and I'm gonna just do this, and then I'm gonna back up and let the ladies do their thing, because it's the beautiful ladies of the chat tonight. But I just want to say, guys, I'm feeling like for the time being that we have him, we're gonna have to spoil Stephen, ladies and gentlemen, because he's our only gent on the new side of it. Because Rashid is always here working with us, so Rashid's like, this is work for me, right, Mr. Phillips. But yeah, anyway, on the panel tonight, so. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're going to do. How you doing? Miss Shelley C., Tanya Michelle, the adoring Miss Chris Fisher. Everybody cool and fan? How are you doing tonight, Rashid?
Like just have some I'm doing well today.
It's good, Rashid. Okay, Lord, did you have any housekeeping things that you wanted to talk to us about tonight before we get deeper into what we're going to be talking about?
looking at the vaccine for COVID, how that plays into minority communities, and a special surprise topic for Shelley C., which I saw on the news, was how HR law is going to collide with COVID and the vaccine. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that, as well as there is tons of celebrity gossip, people, that we are going to look at. And then we have a very special Black History tribute for our listeners and for our community. So I'm very excited about that. But we want to kick things off, spending a little bit of time with Mr. Stephen here, who is joining us all the way from Tulsa.
Woo! What's up, cousin?
And so Stephen's going to give, but we're hoping, you know, our last show last week, for those of you who joined us, you remember that Stephen talked about his poetry. And I invited him to come and share something with us tonight. And I just want to know if we can encourage him to do that. How you feeling, Stephen?
I'm feeling pretty good. This is my first time actually kind of reading poetry to like a crowd, I guess you can say.
Okay.
So, you know.
What do you think? Are we loving and open and supportive to have him kick us off and try it out?
Yes. We're ready. We're ready, cuzzo.
I call this one What If? And here you go. If I was a president, I would free the lifeless so that they can grow to be better citizens again. If I was a weather degree, I would be somewhere in the 80s when it's not hot or cold. If I was a vacation spot, it would be where the palm trees and the sand is at. You know, where the sand is in between her toes and the pina coladas are extra cold. When it comes to women, I have exquisite taste, but they all seem to have father issues. If anxiety was a drug, we would all die from an overdose. What if love was lust and lust was love? Majority of the population would be in love. What if there wasn't Crips and Bloods and there would be no reason for black men to act tough? More daps and hugs, less hate and mean mugs. What if God didn't forgive, then hope would be far-fetched. If there was no gambling, then there would be no reason to say that. What if cash didn't rule, then there would be no reason for men to flex. What if Jesus didn't fulfill his responsibilities, then who would God use next? So that's the end of that one. Are you guys open for another one?
Woohoo, woohoo, we love it. All right, Shiggy.
Definitely.
All right.
All for it.
We appreciate you too. I want to talk about that lust versus love that got me, so I put that as a highlight. I got to highlight that. Right. Yes, okay. Cousin Lorna yes, I just wanted to give a shout out from Facebook World. We have Cousin Lorna in the house. She says, you did that, nephew. She said, you did that. So we wanted to say, Lorna's in the house, Lori. So we got, so everything is going good. She said, go, nephew. But anyway, okay, Shelley C., because I'm going to give it to you because I know. I see your face on this one, so you go with your question.
I wanna know what's the inspiration behind it. That's what I wanna know.
You know, a lot of times, in my mind and just through conversation with people that I'm close to, we just often ask the alternatives, you know, like what if things was this way, what if it wasn't this way? And so I just kind of took a lot of things, you know, I mean, when I spoke about lifers, you know, there are a lot of people in life that made mistakes and you may have put them behind bars, but you know, what if they had a second chance to learn from their mistakes and be better citizens again, you know, and then just with the whole love and lust, you know, this world is very lustful, you know, there's not enough love. So what if it was the other way around, you know, and so I like to just play with the alternative of what if, you know.
What if? The opposite of what's really going on. That's
Yes.
what they would say, yeah.
You said, what if, I don't remember exactly what you said. You said, what if something about a woman having her fibroids around there?
Oh, I I was just saying that, I had exquisite taste in women, so I just love women. But I said most women tend to have father issues, you know, and so, it seems like a lot of women that I have dated, they have father issues, and it kind of affected our relationship, you know?
That's a topic right there, that.
Right,
Oh,
right,
definitely.
right.
We're gonna make a note of that one.
That's
But
another show.
when you say father issues, what do you mean when you say that? When you were saying that, what type of issues are related to father issues?
In my opinion, I think it's just, lack of trust, you know, I think there's a difference when you see a woman raised, having a father in her life, she's able to really discern what a true man is, and then there's a lot of women that doesn't have that, so when they have a good man in front of them, they don't really know how to take to that, you know, and they take it as, oh, he's being too clingy, or he cares too much, because they're used to men not really holding them down, is, you know, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think that so we won't go, we can invite you back for the show.
Right.
I do think that your statement is very general,
Mhm.
right? Because you're assuming that a father in someone's life always means positive.
Mhm.
And that's not necessarily true. Men can be present but absent, right? They can be.
Well,
but-
yeah, and I understand that too, yes, I do.
Yeah, like I said, that's another show, because we can get all into that one. That's a whole 2 hours, but yeah.
Well, you know, just kind of speaking on what you were saying, Tanya, like the last one that I dated, you know, her father was around, but it was kind of like they had a brother-sister relationship. And so she didn't really have respect for him. And so sometimes I feel like she kind of disrespected me sometimes. And I think that she, you know, even though he was in her life, she just didn't have respect for him because of how he was as a man. You know what I'm saying? And so whenever I try to take the lead, you know, because I believe I should be able to take the lead, that's what the Bible kind of teaches. And she just didn't take to it well because father issues, daddy issues.
You take it
Does that
as.
make sense?
Admit that happens, that's definitely out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely a reality, but you know, like you were saying, Tanya, there's always going to be exceptions. But yeah, I think we definitely need to do a show on daddy issues. And
Okay, even Stevens.
Throws me in my boots with what if? Was that part is like, what if Jesus hadn't died for us?
I know.
Lord, my goodness,
that's deep.
that's
Yeah, if he didn't fulfill his responsibilities, then who would God produce next? To, you know, and that's such a deep question because Jesus did do everything right, but what if he didn't?
Right.
You know, Jesus still had the ability to sin against God, you know, because Adam and Eve was perfect. I mean, the Bible refers to Jesus as the second Adam. So what if he made the same mistake as Adam and failed? Then who would God, you know, put in the bloodline to fulfill?
right. What if is powerful, definitely. We've got lots of comments for you. Stevie is with us tonight. We love Stevie. He's always rolling with us. Hey, Stevie, thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it. We also have Chris, our beautiful little mother-in-law, Jackie Fisher, in our Zoom room tonight.
All right. Hi, Nana. Hi, Nana. Good to see you, Nana.
He says what he's getting from it is some women can't fully show up in a relationship because of unresolved issues with their father, regardless if they are present or not. And he said, yes, Jesus one hit me too. Who would be next if it wasn't Jesus? Stevie agrees with you there. That's gonna be a good show, guys. I think so.
Yes, it is, because I think it's the same for men and their moms. I think it's the same for men and their moms. The relationship, I look at that very closely. As you know, I'm single, so we'll talk about that later, but I look at that very closely. The relationship they have with their mother, if they have mommy issues, they're gonna have an issue with you.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's the second can show the part. The sequel is mommy issues.
Just,
Yes,
just,
easy.
just call it parental issues.
I know.
Just call it
I
parental
just
issues.
said it in part 1 and 2.
Stephen, I can't wait to hear the next one. What else you got it coming for?
Let me see. I was trying to kind of decipher which one I want to read next. Let's see. I'll read this one. I call this one, I hate the world so much. It says, I hate the world so much. It causes much anxiety and pain. No love shown, so it makes it tough to maintain. It has you ducking and dodging these problems. Shameful, because God didn't intend for the world to be this way. COVID-19 got us with a mask on our face, looking like a robbery is taking place. Can't cough or sneeze without someone thinking you have the disease. And they say if we don't remain 6 feet away, we can end up 6 feet deep, and that's deep. Meaning we can't receive proper love like a dap and a hug. This is rough. Quarantine, thinking when I see my family and friends, I want to show them love. Social injustice is at a high. Police keep killing us for innocence and minor stuff. The world is supposed to be sweet, not tough. The world was made out of love, but thrives with hate nowadays. I still see you, God, in the darkest place. I see you in the biggest to the smallest trees, in the flowers that naturally bloom every spring season. And I know paradise isn't too far from us, because where humans don't live, the earth is constantly living, constantly breathing, constantly healing. I see you, God. I'm trying my best to stay close to you, never too far. Constantly thinking how you will change my view of the world and transform it to love.
Wow.
I love that. I love that a lot. I like, Lord, okay, the 6 feet, 6 feet of separation, 6 feet, you gotta be from each other, and if we don't, then we can be 6 feet deep, and that's deep. That just like really hit me. What do you think about that line, Tanya?
That was, in the midst of everything that's going on with the pandemic, that line was pretty significant.
I know.
On the current affairs.
I know.
That was really true, that's why I laughed when you were speaking about anytime somebody coughed. You're looking like, oh, they must got something. And now everybody's scared to cough, because I see people, I'm like, you wanna hold it in and be like, I'm gonna go my own quarter. So,
Yeah.
that, yes.
But your poem, Stevie, it reminded me a little bit about, like Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. I'm sorry, I'm a Marvin Gaye fan, but that's what it kind of reminds me of, like what's going on today and how we're feeling today and what's happening minute by minute. That's what it reminded me of. I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that song as well. I just wanted to know, the deepest line to me was social injustice is at a high. Police keep killing us for innocent and minor stuff. And that really dawned on me, because I really thought about Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. And Breonna Taylor was innocent. She was a hard-working woman, and she died. George Floyd, they say he was kind of doing something illegal, but it's nothing to die over. It was something minor, and he still died. So I think Black people or people of color are the only people that's dying for innocence and minor stuff. We're not dying for blowing up buildings or shooting up a Walmart. We're dying for simple stuff. And to me, that was my favorite part, honestly.
I know. I can understand that. That is very deep. I did jot that down too, about the social injustices. But the state of affairs today, everybody, I think we're just blessed to have each other. And I just want to say again, thank you everybody for rolling with us tonight and allowing the opportunity to make change this Black History Month and sharing our voices and being a part of the community and spreading awareness and love and educating each other. I think that's one of the best things that we can do, particularly to be Christ-like. So I thank you all so very much tonight. Laura G, what are you thinking, beautiful?
To Stephen for sharing his work, sharing his art. Your poetry is beautiful, definitely. And thank you for allowing us to be one of your very first in-person audiences. We definitely appreciate that. And I'm gonna keep hitting you up and bugging you. I don't know if the ladies in the chat know, but we are planning to put together a poetry slam in May. And we're going to have our poets come out and our creativity, and Steve is gonna be leading the line. Isn't that right, cousin?
Yes.
It's about no love shown, right? And I think that is so very true, guys. I've been watching the news the past couple days. Well, I watch the news intently all the time, but I've been really struck the last couple of days, the increase of the violence against older Asian Americans. Have you guys seen that?
Yes, I have seen that about it a lot on the news too.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think, and it's all stemming from what you say in your poems, Stephen, that there's the fear of this virus and the resentment that our lives have changed, and there is so much pain and so much loss that people are attributing it to Asian Americans and attacking and brutally hurting them, which I saw one community though come together, and they are doing vigils. They're doing watches outside the house of this Asian American family that has been terrorized by members of the community by breaking their windows and just ringing their doorbells and just wreaking havoc. So black, white, Hispanic, Latino, everyone in their community takes the time to sit in front of their home and to watch so that this family stays safe in these terrible times. So I think, as Shelley says, you got a little bit of Marvin Gaye side in you. You can see, you got to tell it that the world is what's going on in it. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Stephen, ladies? Any about his work, his art?
Let me just double check Facebook one more time and just see if we have anything else. But yeah, cousin just said that she just wanted to let you know that you did really great tonight. Thank you again, Stephen. Excellent thing.
You can, we understand you've got some other pressing things to do, but I think this kind of backs us really into a part of what we were going to talk about in your poem, What If? You talk about lifers. What if they got a second chance, right? And a part of our discussion is looking at the idea of capital punishment and just the unbelievable number of people who were executed underneath the reign of President 45. So I think Tanya has strong feelings about that, and we just wanted to kick that can around a little bit. And I think to start off our conversation, I'm interested in knowing, what are your thoughts about capital punishment?
Wow. Are we going with anybody? Anybody? I don't want to take anybody's space. Anybody else want to speak up?
Floor's yours.
Yeah, just taking someone else's life for me is, I struggle with that. I think that everybody has their own extent of punishment they can get for anything they do, but to take someone's life and the manner they do it, I don't think that's should be artistic. Now, when you look at it, there's some people that you said, oh my God, that's what they deserve because that's one of the options. Maybe so, but overall, I'm completely against it.
Wow. What do you think about it, Marsha? How do you feel about it?
would say it depends on the extent of the crime. Because I believe that those that that actually violate children to an extreme extent deserve death penalty. They deserve no second chance because you violated a child. Like I was saying with just adults in general, if you violate anybody, like no matter what age, I believe that you should not be here because your mental is just so far gone.
Right.
It's not worth it to me.
Alrighty, I get that. Shelley C, do you think you want to weigh in on the death penalty? Do you have any ideas on it right now?
I just feel it's just a way to, I almost feel like it's a way to get rid of, I'm going deep. I think it's a way to get rid of the black race. That's what I really think.
Do we know,
Okay.
as far as the numbers of death penalty, the percentage was black and white?
I don't know the percentages, but from the research that I've done in the past, I can't tell you what it is presently, but I just feel like most of the, there's even been black kids in the past, years back, that have been, that have received the death penalty, and I just think that there have been more black people on death row that may have died than white, but they're innocent. I guess I need to make sure I say that correctly. I think there's more innocent black people that are on death row or that are being put to death than white people who are innocent.
Okay. So I actually looked at the numbers. So, we have 1,062, that'll be roughly 41.6% that are black. You have 343, roughly 13.44%, that'd be Latinx. You have 1,076, roughly 42.15% white. And then you have 72, which is roughly 2.81%, which is other. So white people got us by a fraction of a percent.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. It's 42.15% white, 41.6% black, and 13.44% Latinx.
Could it be the serial killer situation for the higher number? Race.
Okay, as far as like the number that are innocent, that would be, let me look into that.
Okay.
As far as like those that are actually in.
Right?
Right.
Which brings me back to the question for me about supporting the death penalty, reminds me of a show we did, guys, on that idea of the absolute truth. Do you guys remember that show?
Yes, we remember that. What is true? Yeah.
Of that crime,
That part.
death in every case, right? I think a part of, just in my opinion, a part of defending or discovering the truth is who creates the best narrative, right? And to create that narrative comes with the best litigators, which equates to financial ability, right?
Definitely.
And if, right, and we oftentimes, as a race of people, don't have the socioeconomic ability to compete with some of the high-powered attorneys that are out there.
Sure.
Yeah,
So
and
I,
you guys saw Power when Tasha was still a public defender, and she was like, this public defender didn't care anything about her, right? And she got this big name brand person, even though that was all corrupt too. But the public defendant is what most people, end up affording. So hopefully you'll get a good one of those. If not, it's all about, like you said, Lori, who can create the best story.
Right. Right.
And the public is briefly all the time.
Okay, so I can't find a chart that actually splits off the innocence, but what I did find was that roughly 4.1% of people that are on death row actually are innocent. So it's roughly 4.1%. I can't get a breakdown of that percentage to where it says, what percentage of those were actually African American compared to white.
Wow.
No, it's been 4% that have actually died, that have actually been innocent.
Right.
Yes.
It's kind of horrible.
Yeah, yes, because if we look at the actual history of things, especially during back in the day, there have been times where if you're an African American and you have been accused, because there was this one case where a guy was accused of touching a white woman back in the day, and he was basically executed, but then later to find out from the woman herself that he did nothing to her.
Wow. We see that all sadly too often. I don't know.
Where someone can actually have some really bad evidence and some really doctrinated evidence just to convict somebody and to have them killed, then to later find out that said person was actually innocent and didn't do anything, and that the evidence was actually tainted and was actually not his actual evidence.
Been executed in the past. And according to who are they guilty? And how are you saying they're guilty? So I think even looking at numbers, they're gonna be skewed. I was interested in hearing your opinion. You were gonna say something when you were explaining, you said, but I think.
oh Lord, girl, I'm a senior, I don't know. I don't know, man, I wanted to
It's
hear
so
what you.
funny. That's hilarious.
Oh.
That could.
Agreeing with that, but I look at anybody that, anybody that's in prison, especially black folk, for some heinous or non-heinous or whatever crime that they have done, there still is a root problem, and you can change, but there's something that has been brought down through history, through our bloodstream, through our bloodline from slavery, that if we are not economically able to compete, these things are gonna happen, and they are gonna put us in jail because they've been doing it all along. Nothing has changed. It's just now that they gotta balance it out and put their own folks in prison, because other than that, they wouldn't be doing that.
Okay.
Somebody, I'm not for killing nobody, they have to deal with that,
Hold on a
there
minute.
has to be a different kind of way. But if for us, it wouldn't even be, we wouldn't be so many in that situation if our status as a whole was changed.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I look at it.
So, so there is a, so there is a little green light, at the end of this like dark tunnel, because since 1973, over 185 former death row prisoners have been exonerated. Basically, they actually have been released because they have been found innocent. About 90, about 99 have been African American. About 67 have been white. 16 have been Latinx, and 21 have been of other race. And the majority of those have been in Florida and is that Wisconsin?
Is that?
No, I'm sorry, that's Chicago, Illinois.
Right there in the middle?
Yep.
Wow. What are you thinking about that, ladies and gentlemen?
I just kind of want to say I do agree with Rashid. If you mess with children, if you prey on children, I don't wish death on anybody, but to mess with children, that's pretty tough. But at the same time, I kind of agree with Tanya with what she said. And just through this whole conversation, I was trying to think of somebody who I didn't think deserved to get the death penalty, but they did, and that was Tookie Williams. And Tookie Williams was the founder of Crips. But he may have done a lot of things prior, but he recovered. He did a lot of positive things before they gave him the needle. And a person like that, I don't think they deserve to die. I think they should get another chance to redeem themselves in society and help the young and the youth to not go down the route that he. Just think if that man was alive, how he could be able to help gang members not go down that path and continue. He could probably end gang violence because he started it, and that man was still put to death. And I think they should do a better job of reassessing those situations. But it's kind of hard. I'm very neutral on it because it just depends on the situation. But at the same time, I would never want to be a person that say that person is deserving of death, because people can make changes.
People can.
Well, now today, doing stuff to children that, they ain't in prison, you hear some of these scars, the stuff that they saying and doing, they talking about kids and we just like, oh, okay, like, well, what's happening? They are saying they are doing this stuff, this pedophilia and all this, up in this Hollywood stuff and all that, like John Legend's like putting that on, like, I was like, what is that? I'm not understanding, what's going on? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, having a death penalty or somebody did something to a kid, it's happening in our face. And people not in jail, so it's like, I'm not understanding that.
Well, because it's like nowadays in society, if you do something to a child, you're basically put into a registrar and labeled a actual registered sex offender. Right. That's if you get caught. But even then, that would usually end up being not to the court of law. It would actually end up being to the actual court of the public opinion, where people would end up doing street justice. But then also for those individuals that do end up being in jail, you may not hear from them ever again, because if the inmates find out what you did, and if it involves children, you might not live through the night.
I know. That's.
They putting it on Twitter and they saying it like they telling you what's happening. That's what I'm kind of,
What,
I mean, if they're telling on themselves, justice will have to come around sooner or later. At least that's what we hope. But
Ah. Yay, fun time. Let's bust it down to the ground.
oh
You want to
boy,
start, Shelley?
oh boy.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because that's when you have to actually separate the artist from the personal. Because you can still have him as the king of R&B, but you can still say that he's a piece of crap.
But you can't take the work away. Go ahead, Shelley.
When you buy those albums now, or when he was out, I guess, I don't know, whatever, but it's your money that he is using to make sure that whatever's happening stays protected. That's what I struggle with, because I do like R. Kelly. And the girls on the panel know this. I will play his music. I love his music because I already bought it. Maybe that's my excuse. I don't know. But I'm not buying anything new. I can assure you of that.
I think we can all agree with that.
Talk about being in jail, whatever. I don't care. I'm not gonna buy it. But I'm
When
saying,
remind me come on, you still bumping it, huh?
Easy. Throwing It's something like my car. Exactly.
It's
right?
like it's like, hold on, because have y'all seen the whole 19, 20, 21 part, 25 part thing for Trapped in the Closet? It's like he lived that life. He literally told it on himself.
Yes, people, we up here thinking we was just, he's straight up for real the Pied Piper, you know what I mean?
I won't pee on you. Drip, drip, drip.
No.
So Ray was on some YouTube interview thing, and I didn't know that she and R. Kelly were really good friends. Did you guys know that? Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
She doesn't support his actions, but that we need to separate R. Kelly, the artist, from R. Kelly, the person. And for me, I think they're intertwined.
I do too.
Because I think R. Kelly, the person, provided the inspiration for R. Kelly, the artist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that becomes
My story.
very difficult for me. I don't know if anyone else on the panel feels that, but I think a lot of the inspiration for the stuff that he writes, and I love R. Kelly too, plays music all the time, right? But I think a lot of that inspiration was through the life that he was living, as Stephen says, right in front of your eyes.
Plain sight.
Right.
But we see what we want to see, right? How many times did we make excuses for his engagement with Aaliyah?
I know, we did just kind of act like nothing, just kind
But I have a hard time with, I didn't know if it was true, because it really
That's true.
was so undercover, like you didn't, until after her death, did you see anything where they actually, like paperwork where they were actually married? So I was struggling with whether any of it was true.
right.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of us were it's just a whole,
Right.
But
right.
even with celebrity gossip, that's why we call it celebrity gossip, because, some of it may be true, or 90% of it's
May
true,
not.
or 80%. So I was struggling with, is that really true? Did he really marry her and she was just 15 or 16, whatever? I'm thinking along the lines of innocence. I'm thinking nobody would ever do that to a 15 or 16-year-old. Well, hell, I done found out different.
Yeah, we gotta find out way different.
right. But then we also have to look at, I'm not excusing his actions at all, but let's look back at his past. Let's look at what happened to him back in his past, because I think he was the actual victim at one point back in of actual child molestation by a female.
Yeah, a woman.
Yes.
Mr. Joe.
Not Charlie.
Documentary. His brother talked about this man, and so did his older brother and his little brother. So they all were talking about how this man in the neighborhood was molesting the boys, and always, playing with the little boys. And R. Kelly and his brother was in the apartment with this man, and things happened. And the mother, and this is the part that I think R. Kelly has struggled with. The mother, when she found out, R. Kelly's mother, when she found out, she didn't press charges because Mr. Somebody brought her off. So R. Kelly's like, okay, this happened to me. And even his brother said this, this happened to us. Now you just gonna let this go because he bought you off? Like, really? You selling your sons? That's kind of like what they were feeling. So I'm thinking maybe R. Kelly felt that way. Because this was explained by his brothers, his actual younger brother and his older brother that was in jail.
Shelley, it sounds like this could be maybe learned behavior and even the payoffs,
It was a psychological trauma, honestly.
Because that's what his mom did, right? She took the hush money. So.
And this may cause controversy when I say this, but I think there's everybody that we deal with that we fuck with on different levels, right? So either you don't mess with the person at all, or you mess with them for certain things. So you were saying that the person, R. Kelly, and the music are separate, but they're really the same, right? There's still that one individual, just different components of who he is. So, like when I have my party, the lady Felicia, I don't mess with her on everyday stuff, but she can design very well. So I use her for design. And I think as people, that's how we do with people. Even with us on the chat, you may go to me for one thing, Shelly for another, Jackie for another, but that doesn't mean that you don't like all this. It's just that that's that talent that you pull from. So I'm okay with listening to his music and separating from that, because I think as individuals, we all have stuff. We all have stuff. Some may be worse than others, but the Bible said no sin is greater than the others. I always ask Jesus about that. My little lie ain't like a pedophile lord, But he said no sin is greater than the other. So if we look at it that way, then, and take away judgment, we all have different sins that may be frowned upon by each one of us if we say based on our own moral code and standard, right? So, for me, I can separate the music, because ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind unless it's a child.
And in his case, it was.
That's what I'm saying.
Damn.
So, I'm not thinking as a child, that's what he's thinking, but I still like the music as an adult version of it, right? So I can still listen to his music and still say, but I don't think what he did was right.
Right.
It took me a long time to get there though, because when we first did the show, I dropped everything. I didn't want to listen. And then one day I was driving the car, his music came on, and I was tapping and singing and humming, and didn't even realize, wasn't even thinking about R. Kelly the pedophile. I was just thinking about how good the music was sounding to me at that time.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, that, and from the start, I was listening to it, but what I had an issue with was, his personal life. And again, because now I know what the money does when we support him, I would think twice in buying this stuff.
Right.
Question for the panel. Do you guys remember, I think that I get the name right, Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
Do you remember that big scandal about the human trafficking and the sex slaves? And he had a whole island in the Caribbean where he would kidnap and take these girls. Do you see any parallels between the behavior between Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly?
The childhood behavior, or just?
Behaviors in terms of trafficking these young women.
Yeah.
I don't know how he grew up. Was he molested too and all that?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying by taking, I think his biggest thing is he would, I don't know if he kidnapped them, but he would lure these women to this island, these young girls. And once they got to the island, he would not let them go. Right?
I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference with R. Kelly and Epstein. Epstein would not let them go. He held them captive. But R. Kelly was like, you can go if you want to. I just get another 14-year-old. I'm just saying.
That's so sadly true, yeah.
All of them,
Other one at a hotel and
yeah,
made
but
her
all of
look
them,
like
even
a
the one,
guy.
they just did what he said, Lori, but they were free to leave at any time. He didn't keep them captive. Look, if you wanna stay, this is what you got to do. You can't eat until I tell you to eat. You can't have no water until I tell you to have some water. You can't go to the bathroom if you wanna stay. That's the kind of love I give. If you wanna go, you can go, because there's women that were on the documentary that just walked out.
Yeah,
They left.
yeah.
But then
Feel
there
like-
was that girl who her mom had to rescue her. You guys remember that?
I
Her
do.
mom was trying to rescue her, and R. Kelly wouldn't give her wouldn't let her come out of the hotel alone, and the other girls were guarding her. I think there was some captive type of stuff happening there.
Yes, but remember, she walked off with her mom. She walked out, you can leave.
Yeah, I guess it's just love, Laura, you know, well, what about the Stockholm Syndrome? Does Stockholm Syndrome apply to this situation? Shelley, Lori, Tanya, Chris, Stephen?
Their physical abuse.
And
I
Kelly?
I heard that there was sexual engagement, but I'm not quite sure if that engagement was physically abusive, where he, beat people in order to stay.
No, he was more humiliating, like, for example, the girl, he shaved her hair and made her look like a boy. That was because he couldn't break her in any other way, he found ways to break them. And so the girl that escaped with her mom, which is Dominique, he tried different ways to break her, and she was just like, no, I don't wanna sing that, or no, I don't wanna eat that. And so what he would do is say, okay, I'll fix you, go in there and shave all your hair off. And she'd go in there and shave
Well,
off.
here's the question, why does she go in there and shave her hair off?
I mean, is there violence? There had to be some violence. Was there some violence involved, Shelley, or is it just starving? I mean,
It was a cult, I'm telling you, they did what he said. He was the Pied Piper, Lori.
Yeah, there was that involved, there was piss involved,
yikes!
Is there money? Do they stay because of the money? Do they stay for the potential hope of fame?
yeah, there's a,
That, he did tell them, many of them thought that they were going to have a recording contract. Many of them thought. Mhm.
But you know what, this also, hey Shelley, this also goes back to Stephen's point. One of the girls had a mother and a father in the house. Remember that whole topic we had around there? And she went over with R. Kelly and went against her mother and father. And he appeared to be an active father in the house, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And even with that guidance and all that, she still was missing something, per se,
Mm-hmm.
on R. Kelly in the midst of a man in the house.
Correct.
I mean, Pied Piper.
Right.
That he was giving her that she needed.
Right.
You know,
It
'cause
started off,
he's like a sociopath, right? They know what you're missing.
right. What you're talking about, Asriel or Asriel, there was time, you can see where he was telling her, okay, go ahead and sing. She was singing thinking she was going to sing with R. Kelly, she was gonna get a contract. It turned out she never did, and then all of a sudden, she was held captive, and then she was his girlfriend and sleeping with him and other women.
So that's all, Shelley. Just that simple. Just boop, boop, boop in those categories.
Right, but
Stephen, what you thinking right now? Weigh in, please, on the Pied Piper.
You know what I think? I would never compare, when you had asked about him and Epstein, I wouldn't compare him with him because I just would not compare a black and a white, no matter what the crime is. They started that. That is something that we originally started. That's a learned behavior that has come down the line, even though that's something that happened years ago that just ran through his family line. I don't have no, I mean, yeah, he wrong for what he did, you know, but like Tony said, no judgment, but when I look deeper into it, all still is a root problem that his family line have dealt with that stuff, and it still stems from slavery. Because his mama did that, he did that, but that probably happened back in her mama's mama, her mama's mama, all the way back up into slavery, and it just came on down the line. But I would never compare them two. I would never compare a black crime against a white crime. So no way will I even if it looked the same, I'm still not gonna say, oh yeah, that's kind of like, never. And for me, never.
Okay, so, right, and so if we were to actually, you know, okay, let's just, for argument's sake, let's have them on the same plane. You got Jeffrey Epstein and you have R. Kelly. Now, the main difference with, I mean, they're both in somewhat Hollywood type of, you know, in a little field, but except with Jeffrey Epstein, it's more or less on the political side because since he was a banker. Now, and then you have to look at Jeffrey Epstein's circle of friends, which included Bill Clinton, you know, Donald Trump, you know, and then you had Queen Elizabeth's son, you know, Prince Andrew. Like, I think he even associated with Harvey Weinstein, and we already know the whole situation with Harvey Weinstein. But let me get back to the point. Now, with Jeffrey Epstein, you had him and his ex-girlfriend, you know, that were in on the actual sex trafficking itself. And then when I guess he was supposed to testify back in 2019, he ended up dead in a jail cell because apparently he was going to speak and people were like, you know what, if he speaks, he's going to take at least like 15, 20, maybe 50 of us down with him. With R. Kelly, it's just one individual compared to, you know, oh wait, it's me and like 50 others.
If I understand it right, tell me if I got this wrong. Epstein kept them in captivity, but he was letting them do things with other people. The Pied Pipers, they're like for themselves.
Greedy.
Well, that's what you call in Jeffrey Epstein's situation. It's kind of like prostitution.
Yeah. Call girl prostitution. Yeah, for sure. No, it's not for him.
Nope.
And mine. You can't even talk to each other. That's the crazy part. They would have to text each other in the house. It's like, girl, this dude tripping. I don't even know Shelly. Like, nigga, I ain't even ate in a week, nigga. You know what I mean?
Wait, what?
Glory out, something.
You already know.
Oh, okay, hold on.
We're gonna get that local update for us here. Thank you, Rashid. Poetry Festival. What's wrong, Stephen?
I seen this YouTube video the other day with him and Gary King. He was like, they said, I hog tied her. He's like, I don't know how hog tied nobody. I don't know, they just talking in my head about it. They said they hog tied her.
He's an actor. All that crying and jumping up and screaming and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's theater.
Yeah, he's putting on the show.
Yeah.
Jackie said,
You're killing me with this.
what's that?
Is the alliances of the managers and the people who helped this whole thing continue, you know?
Thus,
And
the money, that's what I'm saying. the
yeah, but where is isn't there something in the law like enabling a crime or something like that? I haven't heard any of these other people being brought up on any child trafficking charges, because how I see it, based on the definition of trafficking children, that's what they were doing.
Is it,
Okay, so basically guilty by association.
is it like a conspiracy scenario? Like
Right.
conspiracy, Lori?
Looking for children to take to a man who's a grown-ass man, right? Don't I have some type of responsibility there for helping this crime happen?
That was my thought when that was happening, like, wait a minute, he just said, oh, what's going on?
Well, technically, yes, that would be the case. Aiding and abiding.
These are black and brown women, so nobody really cares.
Yeah, that's
Do
the
what you
part.
want.
To black girls and black women.
All right.
But it's not okay when you are exploiting white people, and that's how I kind of see some of the
Epstein.
differentiation between the Epstein and the R. Kelly.
Yeah. It's gonna be handled.
Couple of times.
So
Oh, you think they're waiting it out? You think they're doing that waiting game again? Like they did
actually,
last
I
time?
got the update on the R. Kelly.
All right, right here.
So
Poetry of Justice show.
So, the singer have been scheduled to go on trial April 7th for racketeering charges, which alleged he ran a criminal enterprise designed to recruit women for sexual misconduct. But at a status hearing Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Ann Donnelly stated that holding such a trial is not realistic at all, considering the pandemic. She rescheduled the date for August 9th, a month before Kelly is scheduled to go on trial in Chicago, where he is charged with multiple sexual abuse counts. Kelly is being held at the Chicago Metropolitan Correctional Center and is awaiting trial on numerous charges, including sexual misconduct charges and racketeering in 3 states, meaning the charges involve women who were minors at the time.
Wow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our Facebook is hot. Thank you for that, Rashid. Yeah, Mo Williams is stating to us that Jeffrey Epstein got away with it for so long and that Congress should inquire. He states that Jeffrey Epstein makes R. Kelly look like Mickey Mouse, ladies and gentlemen. So, what you was talking about, Chris, you can't even compare the two. Thank you, Mo. But just, I mean, just saying. But come on. They knew that's why they had to put him under. That's why they had to kill the dude. Come on. And then just his murder. Everything was already in his cell. Everything. The extra blankets, the extra sheets, you know. And you were on suicide watch. How did you get extra blankets and sheets in your cell? Clinton. That's some crazy shit.
Before.
Say that again, Tanya. Say that again, sis.
But you know how we think, you know, if a homeboy goes into jail and they did something, somebody's gonna kill him off. That's that crime that's been happening in white America for a long time. It just happened to be somebody who was a big person that was going to indict other people.
Right.
But, you know, you get surprised, you think you only hear about that like with the gangs, right, and stuff like that, but that's like its own little gang.
And they the ones who started the gangs anyway, so they know it. They know how to slither off. Gangs didn't ever. He can say that other guy started the Crips, but you know what? That's a learned behavior. It's already been here. It's already been around.
I hear your point, Chris. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, we've been having some amazing discussion, Lord G. I see your face.
Yeah, because technically,
What?
Speaking of sex slaves and sex trafficking, let's talk about T.I. and Tiny and their third parties that are claiming that they were abused and mistreated in the bedroom,
That they were sex slaves.
and they were asked to come.
Were they being sex slaves, Shelley?
Okay, so there are some accusations out there. We should say innocent until proven guilty. There are, women out there, there's two so far that I've seen, there might be more, that are claiming that there was abuse and misconduct going on, where they were asked to come in to be the third party in the bedroom to the couple. That they, yeah, they abused them.
Oh, wow.
So.
Alleged. That's alleged abuse, Shelley, alleged.
He did, was that pertaining to that same situation
The video that who did?
that T.I. did? That is?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I was making sure you wasn't talking about, R. Kelly. Okay. Yes, so, anyway, that was his response, so, that's what's alleged, and the thing right now, or the controversy right now is the Family Hustle, I guess, the TV show, the reality show that they do. People are saying that the show should be canceled, or that the show should be suspended due to these allegations and until the matter is solved. But mind you, on this show, there's other people and other celebrities, like, for example, Monica is on there. I know there's other celebrities on there. So that's a question for the panel. Do you think the show should be canceled due to these allegations?
But this is it, Shelley, for me, my little mind is thinking. So, the show should be canceled because they let another woman in their bed, or the show should be canceled because another woman got in their bed and now they're abused. Because if she had just gotten in her bed without abuse, would the show be canceled? What is, is it a marital thing? I mean, what is the moral, what's the push behind this?
I think the push behind it is that because these girls are claiming that they were abused, it's not just that we, and held captive. It's not like, that we all had agreed on something and it happened. They're saying even though there was an agreed on something happening, abuse began that the girls did not agree to.
They didn't know they were going into the red room.
Correct.
Shelley, you remember that at that place we used to go to, Marla? He didn't know he was going to the ass room, Shelley. You remember that?
Let's go into the boom boom room.
Shelley was like, I know they're in there. I know that's where they're at.
Oh, God.
This was in the house, I was like.
I think they should, I don't watch the show, but to cancel it, what go on in that bedroom, how did that become like, because you did, they say it's the abuse, but it's alleged abuse, they haven't,
But
the
okay,
court and all of that, I don't know.
okay, but back to the R. Kelly thing. It's still alleged.
Is it still alleged? It is alleged.
Alleged with adults and then alleged with minors.
But it's still alleged.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, they find,
Go ahead, Stephen.
maybe if they find, I don't know, what can they do, I don't know.
Used now because they might get some money.
Yeah.
If these were regular, ordinary people, they probably be like, man, I didn't sit well for me, but
Let it
I
ride.
didn't get nothing from him. So, oh well, proceed with life. But they dealing with T.I. and Tiny, and
Right.
they got money. That's why they abused now.
See, they
That's
should.
why celebrities need to be careful with
What
what
they
they
do.
do. Because people gonna come with that paycheck if they can.
I agree with you, Steve.
Be counseled, they should just take their ass on a hiatus since they wanna do extra stuff and let Monica and Lil Wayne's baby mama and them still get money. They go on a
I agree with you
hiatus.
guys. I agree with you guys, but there's also another side of it. A lot of people say that okay, same thing with Michael Jackson. It's because of the money. They wanted to extort money from him. He didn't really abuse those kids. But there's always something that I always revert back to is there are a lot of people that don't say anything when people abuse them that have money because they don't think they're going to be believed. So I have a hard time really saying either or, because I never wanna say I don't believe a person. I never wanna be caught saying that when I don't know what happened.
Right.
So yes, they're more vulnerable because they have money, but there's also people that have been abused by people that have money, and they're scared because of that very same thing, that people are gonna think they're after the money.
Right.
Right, and I think that goes like, both ways, where it's like, if someone actually didn't do anything, but because they have money, you could say that they did something and just make them a target in that aspect, and yet there will be those that actually do have the money and actually have done something, and then when people speak out, it's kind of like, he didn't really do that. It's one of those gray areas where I always say, I always want everything, well, not exactly in writing, but at least have, evidence, at least have an actual paper trail to actually, I'm gonna say, okay, this is what happened, this is when it happened, here's the evidence of what happened, and so, that way, it's documented, it's right there.
There's no mistaking.
Right, there's no mistaking, and it's hard to actually disprove that. You can't say it's documented, can't say that it's been, altered or any of that bull. But it's right there. It's very hard to actually disprove that.
And the ones that are lying, something probably you don't want nothing to happen to anybody just because, but those that lie, they make it bad for the ones that something really bad
That's the
happened
point
to
I was
them.
trying to make.
So they should, if they lied about something, they should have to do something. Some type of, don't make them write 1,000 standard or something.
You know what, Chris?
2,000 standards or something. Because that's not right, because they make it where the ones that really have something happen to them, that they're gonna think, and they're gonna believe me, that person lied over there, so now I'm telling the truth and it, yeah.
The sad thing about that is, I don't want to say sad, that stuff's been going on in Hollywood for a long time. And I don't know what T.I. and Tiny were doing, but they know the risk associated with their fame. And whatever it was, they didn't screen the process right. And I'm not condoning any of that, but when you're at that status, you gotta know what you're messing with.
Exactly, Tanya.
Whether consent, that, we using screwdrivers or whatever we're gonna be doing, whatever it is, you know that you have risk associated with your name in your pocketbook. So, fuck with Candy and Todd, cause they both got some shit to lose. Fuck you, they don't got shit to lose. I just think that it's really, first of all, it's really bad because there are people that's their whole game, is to set you up and get your money.
Right. Yep, to set you up and get your money, yes, definitely.
People probably didn't see that coming because they knew the person, or the person was so close to them that you wouldn't think that somebody close to you would just blurt out your bedroom business, regardless of the girl who.
Sometimes, Chris, it goes.
Friends close, aim is closer.
We thought we was gonna be doing this, and then it just went way too far.
Too left.
And so now people got hurt
Right.
feelings, they feeling some kind of way, and now I'm gonna take a different course of action.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I do wanna say, like what Stephen was saying, is I do agree, and I also think sometimes it has to do with how we feel about the person, which is scary, right? I mean, cause I'll be honest with you, the girl that accused Mike Tyson, I was like, oh, you didn't do that. Why would you go to the bedroom at 1 o'clock? Of course, that's what happened. Or Kobe Bryant, I didn't believe what happened, the girl claimed happened to her.
Right.
I didn't think Kobe did it, but I don't know. I thought, like Tanya said, you have to be smarter. When you have a certain stature, you have to say, okay, this person might set me up. This person might be out to set me up. Let me rethink this.
Right. Wow. It's a common thing.
Yeah.
It's true. You just never know. It's so much. It's just so much. Girl. And Rashid got some information for us too, just in case y'all need some hotter off the presser. We got some. We got some time though.
Okay.
Okay, you want to start there, Shelly? Where you want to start, Shelly?
Oh yeah, the filing for divorce.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ah. I can pull up mine.
Being so sporadic.
Right.
It's being up and down, and some of the things that he said, especially the thing that he said about North, like, he almost killed North, and, you know,
I mean,
Is that what he said?
yeah, Catch said that.
What?
He's actually bipolar.
Oh, God bless his soul.
that Kim was pregnant with her, and he wanted her to abort that pregnancy, and she said no. And so Kim's thing is, okay, my daughter is now gonna grow up and see this on social media or film or whatever it's gonna be at that time. But, you know, this could mess up my kid, you saying stuff like that, you know?
I knew he was manic. This is the thing, and I think Lori and I was talking about this other situation. When you engage with somebody that's bipolar and have mania, you have to become their support system. You have to make sure they take their meds. You have to know the signs. You have to know what's going on. You know, that is part of his package that she decided to marry. And so she knew he's mania. She knew that when, you know, because we know somebody that lives close to them, she knew that when they were building a house and her mama having him live outside in a tent wasn't a good thing to do. All that type of shit can make you snap. So I don't think that she was as supportive as a wife with a man with psychological disorders as she could have been. Not saying that he's not at fault, but mental disease brings a whole other aspect into a relationship.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Tanya, it goes back to what my mama used to say, you knew what you was getting before you got it.
You know what you...
You knew what you was getting before you got it, so you can't play dumb.
He was never the same after his mom died.
But since she decided to engage in that, I do know some people, for example, Tanya, when he does have these episodes, he's not taking his medication.
Right, they all not.
So you're taking a chance that you're marrying somebody that if they go off this medication, they ain't gonna be right.
Exactly.
Shelly, what do we think about for better or for worse, for richer or for poor? Where does that lie here?
Till death do us part, right? The ride or die, right?
I'm gonna say, you knew what you was getting before you got it. That's what it goes back to. If you knew what he was about, you knew he was crazy when he got up there and snatched that microphone out of Taylor Swift's hand.
I thought that was funny. I'm sorry, I thought that was funny.
He was crazy.
When the nigga said slavery was choice.
Oh, right?
On that part, Steven.
Come on.
And you knew all that, he was doing all that stuff before, and talking about Beyonce was the best singer ever, and scratch that microphone out of her. You knew back then, before you even had a baby by him, that he was crazy.
Wait a minute, Shelly, she had 2 more babies after that.
Right.
Which is another show, Lori, about how women can be and have kids and don't even know.
Daddy issues.
Add that to our topic list.
Yeah, so you knew he was
I
crazy.
have a rebuttal to that.
What?
So, my rebuttal is, maybe I didn't really deeply understand how crazy you were, and how much medication and support I was gonna have to provide. Do I not have the right to say this is way
It took you that long to figure that out?
Regimen.
It's just too much. What you thinking?
It took her how long to figure this out?
I have to chase you every day to make you take your pills or tackle you or
Right.
be
Well,
running
I
all the
know.
time. I'm sick of that shit. Nigga, take your pills. You know you need your pill, take it.
In other words, I didn't sign up for this shit. You told me.
Exactly.
Now I got to
So
chase
she
you.
signed up for that shit, she just didn't know that it was gonna end up this way.
Contract changed on her. Contract changed on her.
I don't know.
If you gotta take a pill to act right, that's the stage left.
I mean, they just happened to that USC football player. We don't want to go into this, but she was dating him knowing that he had this issue. Because her first thing when she called the police and his dad was he hasn't been taking his meds. So you know,
She should have left though.
yeah, but
If
you
you
know,
know that you're not taking your meds and you are dangerous and you have beat me up before, I'm out.
But you know, could it be also, you guys, again, even when you're dealing with somebody in a relationship with a mental illness and you know that they have to take medication in order to function, to me, it's the same as, in my opinion, I could be wrong and I might get bashed for this, but in my opinion, that's the same as, just saying, okay, I'm gonna sign up for this and I'm gonna be able to deal with this and I'm gonna ignore the red flag. Like, for example, when people ignore red flags, okay?
Yeah,
To me,
you're
that's a major red flag, and if you choose to ignore it at that time, you can say later, let's just be honest, you can say later, okay, I didn't sign up for this shit, I got to go.
yeah.
So I got a question though.
Yes, Steven.
Is it possible that that household probably made him a little bit more loony? Because every nigga that came out of that Kardashian house ain't.
He got a point.
And then now, and Van Jones.
I mean, you had a man turn to a woman.
When did he start? Because I never even knew that he was on meds before he got with her.
Mom,
I didn't even know was he on meds before that or?
after his mom's death, I hear that he
After
got.
his mom
Yeah.
died, maybe his,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
After that, that's when he started acting crazy.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe his
God
mom
bless
made
him,
him take his
Jesus.
medication.
That could have been it.
Maybe.
Stevie Johnson says from our Zoom room, he says, true, but Kanye knew what he was getting into too.
That part right there. That's the biggest part. What do you think about that shit?
Well,
into this rubric, right? So he saw what happened to everybody else, but he felt like in his mind he was different and can handle Kardashian. Those Kardashians demasculate men, and I mean they just have this tendency to demasculate, demoralize, and do all this to men. And it's always the black men that they are attracted to, which is a whole nother story. But I think that they're a difficult group to deal with because there's so many of them with the same mentality. So it's always one person against the majority, which makes it probably really difficult.
Similar to a cult, you know?
yeah.
I did say that. Did you hear? Similar to a liking of it. Technically, when they go up to that little ranch, I'd be like, yikes, radio. Made me think about David Kevorkian. Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
you turn a man into a woman.
It's for real, cousin.
You turn a man to Caitlyn.
I know. Come on. It's just.
You turn an Olympic athlete to Caitlyn.
That's a wild game, man. For sure.
Okay, so Dr. Dre's estranged wife, Nicole Young, demanding access to their marital home because she's pretty sure someone's been wearing her shoes and anything go to law. Nicole Young just filed docs in their nasty divorce court asking the court to allow her access to the Brentwood home where she used to live with Dre because she left a bunch of personal belongings there. In the docs, Nicole says she left back in April 2020 with a bare minimum of her stuff. Nicole claims she had to get out in a hurry because Dre was drunk and was yelling, fuck you, get the fuck out, go to Malibu. She left
Like, bye!
So she left her tongue behind. According to Nicole, her loot included designer and vintage handbags, kosher clothing, and 20 fur coats in a cedar and temperature-controlled closet. BTW, she says her regular closet and boutique room at the home is around 1,000 square feet.
Shelly, her closet, nigga.
Since she's left, Nicole says she's observed and 1,000 square feet. Okay, so hold on, let me continue. Now, it's 1,000 square feet. Jesus. Okay, so since she's left, Nicole says she's observed several different women posting photos and videos inside the house, and she claims some of Dre's visitors might be wearing her stuff. For instance, Nicole claims one of Dre's playmates posted a photo in his bathroom while wearing what appears to be Chanel slides. She's also...
See?
She's also upset Dre throws big parties like one he had in October for the NBA playoffs because she thinks with all the drinking, it's just a matter of time before someone damages or takes her belongings. Oh, and one more thing, Nicole's worried Dre might pack up her remaining property and just send it to storage. She says that would be catastrophic for her first, which must remain in that temperature-controlled closet.
All 1,000 square feet of that temperature-controlled closet, so her chinchillas can breathe. People.
All my shit with me. Moving truck comes, get my shit, no. No and no. Somebody wearing my stuff? Oh, no.
Well, that's it. Hot off the press with Tanya Michelle. What are you thinking? It was some people, I talked about this the other night with someone, and then it was a male, and he said, well, shit, Dre bought it, so what? Right, Shelly, that part. But we'll just hold on. Let's see what Tanya Michelle goes to.
Oh my God.
And that's what Ray is probably thinking. I'm shit, fuck you. I can let whoever wear whoever. You know how Dre is with that, his mentality. Next time, get your shit and go to the Malibu house while you're getting punished, okay?
In that temperature-controlled closet.
Shelly be over that motherfucker like this and be Shelly. I can't even make this up with you people. I swear to God. Yeah. Vintage, Nick. Vintage.
Like 20 fur coats,
You don't leave it.
vintage handbags, culture clothing.
Oh my God, my head hurts. Lord, she said she calling the police. Lord, she think I'm
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my
Oh, my head hurts. My head hurts.
That's what Mika said, Shelly. Our cousin Mika said that she would have took all her shit from the jump. She said, just like you, Shelly. Exactly.
monkey minds and some
Oh my
like
God,
party
my
goers
head
and some
hurts
other
so
shit.
bad.
I don't
Lord,
fucking
man.
know. Some random bitches.
I know. Who are these women? They're just some randoms, you guys. I can't. My cheeks hurt.
My head hurts.
It's true, I swear to God. Stephen just said, well, who are these women? I just, where did they come from? Yeah, but I do want to interject and say, Shelley, did you guys watch the Michelet story? You know, surviving Compton, Dre, Michelet, and Suge Knight. Now, in that film depiction, allegedly he was pulling that move back in the day when she was like gone away. He would just have a whole nother chick in the crib, just a whole nother bitch, just a whole nother new one. In your bed though, Shelley. We going on vacation and you come back. You know how we do our little excursions. We come back, a whole nother new bitch in the bed. See what I'm saying? But I'm just saying.
Getting piped down. Getting that pipe. Getting that pipe dream.
I'm just saying.
Probably.
Let me see here. Mika said.
Right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wild one. I want to say,
Well, I think security would have stopped her from doing that.
Yeah, but that's why she needs her own security. Remember, Shelley, she's been talking about it. She needed her own.
Right. Which is the main reason. Right. It's the main reason why she's also, it's now she's trying to get a court order to actually get her stuff.
Good luck with that one, huh?
They was having probably doing some other stuff. What did she think he was gonna do when they were separated?
She know. That's why sometimes you just don't even try to leave because you already know. You know or you know. But I'm just gonna go back to black on black crime. Can I, ladies and gentlemen? Mo Millions wrote to us in Facebook and he says that black on black crime, meaning with white people, commit crimes against other white people at about the same rate that black people do against other black people. However, despite these numbers, people are not discussing the white on white crime problem. When a white person commits a crime against another white person, it's just called a crime. Race is not a factor in it. And that is intentional. Using language like black on black crime perpetuates the myth that inter-radical violence is specific to the black community. A myth implies that black people are inherently more violent. This tactic has been used to justify the mistreatment of black people since the assumed abolishment of slavery. And that's from Brother Mo Millions. Go ahead, Cuz.
All right, I'm gonna just kind of jump on here before I get off, but one, I think black on black crime does not exist. They do that shit to make us look bad, to be honest.
It's just crime.
Most likely the people that you live around, those are the people that you're gonna commit crimes against. That's just facts. And then, I kind of lost my thought here. You mentioned something else about, about black people being more violent. I heard an interview from Tupac Shakur, and he said, just like white people want the criminals off the streets and out of the neighborhood, black people do too, but we don't have the funds to move away from the killers.
Right.
We live next door to the killers. Unlike white people, they have a place that they can go to away from the ghetto or from the lower impoverished areas and go back to where they live. We live next to the man that's known for killing people. And so he said, we have to be on guard. Like we have nowhere else to go because how society has been set up for us to live next to each other. So I think all of that is just ways to make black people look bad. You know, I don't believe on black crime, and I had to reassess myself because I used to preach that same stuff. You know, whenever a cop would kill a black person, I was like, well, we need to stop on black crime. But then I heard somebody kind of speak on that, and it kind of changed my mindset. And most black people live by black people, most black people live by white people. So that's who you're gonna commit a crime against if that's what you choose to do. So I don't believe on black crime.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said that because we did injury prevention conferences when I was at St. Francis, and actually statistics shows that there's more white people that get killed by cops than black. And that's never advertised and that's never filmed. But if you look at them being the majority of the population, whenever there's more numbers, it's going to be more incidents happening to that population. So I just pulled up the statistics, and like in 2020, there was 172 whites killed by police and 88 blacks. And you go all the way back, that number has been doubled and tripled for whites than blacks, but it's not advertised the same way. I think because of the social economic disparities and inequalities, I think they're mistreated differently. I think they're judged harder. I think there's a level of bias that's occurring, but all the data shows that whites are shot by police more than blacks. But that never comes out because, it's this part of, black behavior, maybe that, they might be studying, or black behavior that perpetuates.
Well, I think, yeah, I think it's the criminalization of the black man and of black people, right?
Yeah.
So those numbers are lower, but the advertisement and the dissemination of that information is much more vast because they want to criminalize our race. They want people to be afraid of you. They want to, provide justification for the stereotypes that have grown up throughout the history and the heritage of this country.
Right.
So I agree with you, Stephen. There's not just necessarily black on black crime, right? But people want to advertise it that way because it incites fear, right?
Yeah, and brown on brown, there's black on black, but you don't hear, you don't even hear the brown on brown crime talked about. I mean, when I was working at St. Francis in the Trauma Center, we would have more Latinos coming in than blacks sometimes. But that doesn't get advertised like you said, Lori, like the black on black crime or black crime in the black community.
Right.
Yeah. So it's another myth.
Last 20 minutes together. Do you guys know how quickly that went? My
Look, no,
goodness.
it's wild tonight.
And for our tributes, because I think making awareness about who we are as African American people to kind of break down these stereotypes of the criminalization of us is important. And so I asked the panel to present one person that they wanted to share that they felt maybe this person isn't known or we don't know much about this person. And so we just want to take our little time to celebrate Black history by introducing particular figures. And Rashid's gonna, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Lori. Can I just say this one thing because I've heard this before about more whites being killed. I'm sorry to interrupt this, but
No.
I think
Oh, no, go ahead.
I've heard that before where there's more whites being killed by police than there are blacks. And that actually is something that President Trump claimed. But when I was reading, it says the president's answer ignores the basic demographics of the country over which it resides. As CBS News' Wesley Laurie noted in 2016, the most recent census data shows that there are more whites in the U.S. than there are black people. White Americans make up around 62% of the population, but 49% of those killed by police officers are black Americans. So, of course, the number of whites being killed are going to be higher. This is what they're saying. Of course, it's going to be higher because there's more whites than there are blacks.
Absolutely.
So that number, what they're claiming it on CNN and also on NBC, is that number is going to be skewed because there are more white Americans. So of course, there are gonna be more white Americans killed because there's more of them than there are black.
I mean, but we can apply that to the death, you know, percentage is a percentage. So you can apply that to what we just said about the death penalty and everything else, but a percentage is a percentage. There's always gonna be a lot larger denominator at any point of what you're looking at, right? But I know what you're saying, that's what I was saying, that the population is larger, so it's going to be more of them. But it's still, if you believe a statistic, a number is a number based on the
That's what I'm
same
saying.
algorithm.
Wow, Lori G, it's been intense. I know. Thank you, Stephen. God bless you.
I think, ladies, what we'll do now is our little tribute and our last little 20 minutes together. And Rashid, can you pull up our first photo for us?
Black History Trivia.
All right. So whose person is this to introduce? Chris, I think this is you.
Yeah,
All right.
that is. This is someone who I fairly just maybe, well, not this year, maybe towards the end of last year, since I've been in school, but also since I've been looking more at black media. And his name is Dr. Claude Anderson. I chose him as the person for my Black history because he's still alive today, and he has done, as far as me reading his books, the things that he has done through the years. He currently has 5 books that are out, which I have gotten all of them, and I have started reading. One is called A Black History Reader. There's Black Labor, White Wealth. He's all for blacks coming together. He's been fighting for blacks for over 20-something years to get them out of our situation where the gap is so big economically. He has in his book called Powernomics. I haven't started reading that one yet because I'm kind of going in the order that he has the books and reading. He has like a plan for Black America that, that the little bit that I did see, it seems kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. He also helped Ice Cube when he wrote, when he wrote for the new presidency and the old one to try to do something for Black Americans. Let's see, I kind of have one of his books here, and I just thought that all the stuff that he did through the years and what he's still doing as far as in court trying to fight for reparations for us, I thought that was, I never hear nobody talk about him. I've never seen nothing on him as far as in schools. It's just through the Black media. Although I have siblings that are older than me that I've never heard them speak about him. So I thought that, you know what, he's still alive, he's still fighting for us, so I'm for that cause, for being Black first and fighting for us to get somewhere economically. So I thought I would, bring him up. And what I did was I ordered, he has like his 5 series books for like $100. So what I did was I ordered a couple of sets, and I said, you know what, these are books that our kids that they're not even in schools, these books are not, that maybe they can read these now and learn about where we've been, where we came from. And he's the first person that I've actually heard explain racism. And I've always had that thought about race. What did race mean? Without the ism. And what did the word race mean? I was like, well, we're out here, when the kids are running track or something, a race. And literally that's what it was, it was a race. And I was thinking between like, for the blacks to not have nothing, but everybody else, the way he articulates, the way he says it, if you want to look up, he has videos out. Dr. Claude, you can look at powernomics.com or Dr. Claude Anderson and listen to some of his videos, and he tells it from day one, the things that he's done, where he's going, where he's been, and what he's doing now. even now today, so that's why, I'm hopeful in where I'm going, for this. So there's Dr. Claude Anderson.
Okay.
All right, thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Yes, awesome. Thank you for that, Chris. Bravo. Alrighty, we've got another photograph here. Latanya Michelle, are you with us, love? I see it.
Hold on. Let me actually.
One second.
Hold on. Let me do
There
a
you
new
go.
share. There we go.
Alright.
There we go.
There you go, Tanya.
And she is the first African-American registered nurse. And so she started off as a private duty nurse in a New England Women and Children's Hospital. And because of her services and care that she was providing, they offered her to be admitted into their full nursing program. So the Boston, the New England Hospital said, you know what, we see what you're doing, and you provide good care for free to residents. I think she was caring for some rich person's son or daughter in the hospital, because it was women and children. And so they saw her acts of service, and they decided to admit her into the program. And she got into the program, and she excelled, and she became the first Black woman to be a registered nurse. And from there, there's the American Nursing Association. She was the Black first nurse to be a part of the American Nurses Association, and then she was also inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. So when I learned about her, she paved the way for people to believe that we could actually be, and the women, that women and Black women could actually be in the medical field.
Amen. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Tanya. And she's a cutie pie, too. Mary Mahoney, first African-American registered nurse, ladies and gentlemen, brought to us by Latanya Michelle, ladies of the chat room, the POJ show. Chucky Jones said that's really awesome and cool, Tanya Michelle. So, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tanya. Dr. Anderson! Dr. Claude Anderson, he's not leaving us, Chris. You said that. There we are. Okay.
I was struck that I did not know, when I hear about the bus movement, the segregated bus movement in Alabama, you always hear Rosa Parks, right?
Right.
Well, I found out through researching Claudette was actually the first person that refused to move on the bus and sparked the start of the civil rights movement. On March 2nd in 1955, she was arrested at the age of 15 because she refused to give up her seat to a white woman on a crowded bus. That this occurred 9 months before what we widely know with Rosa Parks and the NAACP. And so the interesting part, though, is that she was a part of the court case that went to the Supreme Court to find bus segregation unconstitutional. But the reason the civil rights leaders made the decision not to publicize Claudette is because she was 15, she was unmarried, and she was pregnant.
Yep.
And so the leaders of the party felt that that would be too many things to minimize the importance of her issue. So Claudette is often lost in the civil rights movement, but definitely has her seat for the start of desegregating buses. So I was happy to read and meet Claudette.
Wow, thank you so much, Lily Jean. And Chucky Jones from our Facebook world says that some said that she was the first. They said that she did not look the part. Isn't that something? I remember that. Stranger Things. Alrighty, guys. Now take a look at this pretty little lady right here. Okay, I'm being like super dramatic. But anyway, I can't do my Facebook and do this at the same time, so I'm just gonna talk about it. This was my choice, ladies and gentlemen. And I chose this lady, Mary D. And Mary D was the first on-air radio personality. Her real name is Mary Dudley, and she was widely considered throughout the United States. Back in Homestead, Pennsylvania, is where she started, and she studied at Howard University for 2 years. Mary D, let's go on to tell you a little bit about her career is what I want to tell you guys. In 1948, when WHOD was founded in Homestead, Dudley, she applied for the job at a radio station but was not hired. She approached the station manager, who told her he would hire her on a trial basis if she could secure a sponsor. Able to get backing, Mary D went on the air on August 1st, 1948. You guys know August is our birth month too, you know, for our show. Anyway, her first broadcast was announcing a calendar of events for Black women in the area. Within days, her time slot was extended to 15-minute segments called Moving Around with Mary D. And then she moved on to a 30-minute segment. The following spring, it was increased to an hour-long show, and by her first anniversary with the network, the slot had extended to an hour and a half, then to 2 hours for her second anniversary. So despite the modest reception range at 250 watts during the day, Mary D garnered a large following, receiving over 150 fan letters per day. Her fans crossed color lines, particularly with regard to her gospel music segment, and she received mail from blacks and whites alike. But ladies and gentlemen, that was our choice for me. Mary D, the first Black radio broadcast woman in the U.S. Hey, Mary. You go, girl. All right.
Eric and I were talking about who I was going to present, and she has such a strong passion for Marsha P Johnson. And she's like, Mom, if you please could just talk about her on the show, I would so appreciate it. So I got introduced to Marsha last night, that she is celebrated today as a veteran of the Stonewall Inn protest and a pioneering transgender activist and a pivotal figure in the gay liberation movement. She committed her life to her hometown in New Jersey to promote gay rights. The term transgender wasn't widely used then, and Johnson referred to herself as gay, a transvestite, and a drag queen. She sported flowers in her hair and told people that the P in her name stood for pay it no mind. And so the big impact that landed on Morgan and Marsha's story is that this idea of intersectionality, right? So not only is Marsha a person of color, she is also gay and she's also trans. And so how difficult it had to be at that period of time for her to come forward and fight for these liberties. So I wanted to introduce Marsha P Johnson. And there's also a documentary special about her life and journey that's airing now on Hulu. So if you want to learn more about Marsha, you can check that out.
Thank you so much, Eleanor. Thank you so much. Look at us. We've been informative tonight in addition to so many of our other things. I'm sorry, Lori, go ahead.
Big music fan, and I'm a big Motown music fan, because we've done a segment on that, and of course I suggested that. But I always thought, so it pays to do your research, I always thought that Motown was the first black label, but actually Black Swan Records was the first black label. And it was founded by Harry Herbert Pace, and that's his picture there. And it was founded in 1921. He borrowed $30,000 in capital to start his label, and of course, there were a lot of white labels that were trying to keep him from becoming popular. So he battled for a pretty long time, a little bit over 3 years, to make his label prominent. And he had signed on a lot of black and jazz and blues um, musicians, and he recorded for them. His office was located in Harlem, New York, and they did unfortunately go bankrupt in 1923. And then it was eventually bought by Columbia Records, and it did kind of survive a little bit in the 90s. Somebody revived it back in the 90s, but that is the history of the very first black label.
I like that.
It had its first 3 releases in April of 1921.
Wow.
I like that,
Cool.
Shelley. Thank you. We learned so much here tonight. Woo-hoo. I know, right? I know. That was beautiful. I know.
This year for Black History is the Black family, right?
Okay.
And I'm just interested if we can kind of go around and each of us can give a quick comment on what we feel the direction of the Black family is going. You want to lead us off, Shelley?
Say that again. What?
We just want to hear your ideas about the state of the Black family.
Oh, the state of the black family. I think the state of the black family, to be honest with you, is I think a little scary. I think that the way people used to stick together or stay together in the past is no longer what they do in the present. The divorce rate is a lot higher amongst the black family. I don't know what it is against other races, but I do know that it's high. I think it's like 50%, 51% divorce rate. And I do know that our young people, our millennials, do think a lot differently about marriage than, per se, we did, and per se, what our grandmothers or our mothers and our fathers, the way they thought. So I think it's a really scary state at this time because you have people that are willing to have children and be okay with not being married.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Shelley.
It's really sad that no one thinks along those terms. Again, we heard Stephen talk about people having parent issues, and I just think it's nice that you can have both parents in the family. But if you can't, there's been some perfectly functioning people. But I think it would be good to think on the terms of, yes, I would like to have my spouse and my children under the same household. If you can't, you can't.
Right.
But can't you start off thinking that way?
I agree with you, Shelley. You could at least, have the goals, right, and set the right.
But, and my children have, parents in different households, but at least the goal was for us that was our intention. Our intention was to be together and to have a family together. Some people now, they don't feel that having a family, you don't have to be together to have a family together.
Right. That is so true. Well, ladies, we've got about, what do you think now, Sheila, 1 minute? 1 minute?
Less than a minute.
Right, she says less than a minute.
Come a long way, and yes, like she said, we have a lot of work to do, but I have hope, and I know that we as Blacks are coming together because this pandemic, we are doing so much stuff. I've seen so many new Black businesses I've seen, you know, starting their own businesses, maybe not as a family, because they want us all to stay away from each other, because they know we come together, we powerful. So I just encourage everybody, we're doing it. We are doing it. You know, whether you have your business or not, look for it, invest, you know, stocks, look at them stocks, what's happening, you know, land, property, you know, do what you have to do, but come together, do it with somebody, get a plan, family plan. You're probably already doing that, but hey, this is all new to me, but hey, I'm liking it, I'm loving it, I'm doing it, and loving all my people that look like me. I ain't got nothing against nobody else, but I had to love mine first, because I took that thing you said, those 2 little tests, and I said, yep, I knew my head was somewhere else. This
I
test,
gotta take my test. I didn't get to take it.
Implicit bias as it relates to race, and then there was another one for weapons. I didn't take the weapons one, but that will definitely be conversation for us in our next series, ladies, so that we can talk more about that. We have exhausted our time. Do you have a couple quick words, Tanya, for the Black family?
No, not really. I think what everybody else is saying is true. I mean, I just don't know because I think there's subsegments of each race, right, that may be doing something different than others. But as a whole, I do believe there's more unity needed, like Shelley was talking about. And I just don't see that. But I don't know the underlying reason for it either. And I think that's something more to dig into. Why is it that the Black family is the family that seems to not be able to come together to help each other go to the next step in life and the next goal? It just seems like it's something that we don't do like other races.
So another topic, lady, another topic has a budget for us to begin to jump in and dig into. So, all right, Miss Jackie, I think we are done.
That's it. And that's all, folks. We've been off Mr. Nash, so zoom, yeah. I love you, ladies. God bless. Thank you, Rashid. God bless you, Rashid.
Do Williams show next time.
Okay, but I'm interested, okay, we off the air, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still have
Lori
Jackie.
posted ours. What was yours? You didn't post yours. You didn't post your test.
Me?
Oh, I don't have my
Yes, I
test.
did.
I didn't take my test. I was driving.
I didn't post mine anything. I took mine on my computer. It said that I was, racist.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's I said you were racist, but Lori, that percentage was of everybody who took that test.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, it said that I was more inclined to support, white issues opposed to Black ones. So.
Yeah, and for my weapons ones, it said, so mine said, my response is just a moderate automatic preference to Europeans over African Americans. And then for the weapons ones, it says that mine suggests moderate automatic association for harmless objects with whites and weapons with Blacks.
Yeah, see, I don't know. We gotta look more into your
Mine was
assessment.
last. You were there.
I take that race one again when I'm not driving. You know, Joe and I went to the Grand Canyon today, and I was on my way in the car.